What is going on, everyone? This is Eric coming at you from just outside of Hartford, Connecticut. And today, we are going to look at the 2021 NHL trade deadline. This video will not discuss every single trade, as there are some real minor pieces getting traded, a fourth line wing for a third pairing defenseman. So we didn't look at every single trade, but this is the vast majority of them. And it's mostly going to be the past 3 days, the 10th, 11th, and 12th, as well as a trade that occurred on the 7th. Now, the first trade that we're going to look at is the New York Islanders and the New Jersey Devils. So the Islanders would receive right wing Kyle Palmieri as well as center Travis Zajac from New Jersey in exchange for a pair of draft picks in a 2021 first round pick and a conditional fourth round pick in 2022 or 2023, as well as left wing AJ Greer and center Mason Joyce. So the two prospects, don't expect too much from them from New Jersey. Now that first round pick, we'll see, it's probably going to be a 25 to 27 range, probably around there. Now that fourth round pick, so the condition on that is it becomes a third round pick if the Islanders make it to the Stanley Cup Finals in 2021. And if they do, they get to choose, okay, we'll give up our 2022 or our 2023 third round pick. If it's a fourth round pick, if they don't make the Stanley Cup Finals, the Devils get the fourth round pick from New Jersey or from New York in the 2022 draft. No questions asked. But if the Islanders make the Cup in 2021, they decide, okay, we're going to give our third round pick in either 22 or 23. So that's a condition. Now, as for the Islanders, they get a pair of solid pieces in Zajac, who isn't what he was a few years back, but he's still a solid guy. He's a good guy to have on your, as a piece. He could help replace Anders Lee, who's obviously done for the year. That's a big acquisition for them. But Kyle Palmieri was the bigger name that they wanted, and they got. Palmieri steps in. He should help out this team a lot. He showed a couple moments. He scored a goal. I believe it was his first game with the Islanders. But we'll have to see how he can do through the rest of the season. And, of course, it was very weird to see Palmieri without a beard. That's for sure. Then we have the Colorado Avalanche getting goaltender Devan Dubnyk from the San Jose Sharks in exchange for a prospect defenseman named Greg Petrin and a 2021 fifth-round pick. Minor trade. Colorado just said, okay, we want to get a backup goaltender who we can trust. And San Jose is just kind of like, all right, Dubnyk's, I believe he's a pending free agent this year. So they got, a prospect and a fifth-round pick out of him. Can't go wrong with that. Solid trade for Colorado. Not the biggest thing for San Jose, but it's better than losing Dubnyk for nothing. The Florida Panthers would get defenseman Brandon Montour from the Buffalo Sabres in exchange for a 2021 third-round pick. Relatively minor deal. This could help Florida replace the loss of Aaron Ekblad, who hopefully will be back for the playoffs, but we don't know for a fact. Montour is a solid guy. He's no Aaron Ekblad, but he plays good defense. He's okay on the offensive side of the puck. Third round pick for Buffalo. Who knows what's going to happen with that pick? It's way too early to speculate. They could trade it. We don't know. Now, we have our first three-team trade here with the Columbus Blue Jackets, the Detroit Red Wings, and the Tampa Bay Lightning. So Columbus would get two draft picks, a 2021 first and a 2022 third, both coming from Tampa Bay. Detroit would get a 2021 fourth round pick, also from Tampa Bay. So obviously Tampa Bay is getting players in return, right? Yep. So Tampa Bay will get defenseman David Savard from Columbus, as well as defenseman Brian Lashoff from Detroit. So Lashoff, minor player. They seem to pay a lot for him. I don't know why they gave up a fourth round pick for him. I think he was a captain in the AHL, so maybe it's just a depth piece. Maybe they're trying to help out the Syracuse Crunch. I don't know what their goal was with that. Savard's a good defensive-minded defenseman. He's a solid player. He's one that I do like. This was a good get, in my opinion, for Tampa Bay. This is a team that had to give up a lot, the past offseason because of salary cap restraints. I do like the addition of Savard. He helps this team. Obviously, they're a high-octane offense. This is a good piece to help their defense. And, of course, Columbus and Detroit, can't go wrong with draft picks. Especially Columbus getting a first and a third. Can't go wrong with that. Now, New Jersey made another trade, and this one's relatively recent. New Jersey got defenseman Jonas Siegenthaler from Washington in exchange for a 2021 third-round pick. So Siegenthaler is going to be one of those guys that's probably more of a depth defenseman. He probably will get more minutes in New Jersey than he did in Washington. Whereas Washington, so that 2021 third-round pick is going to be either Arizona or New Jersey. Essentially, there's this thing going. There's a condition from a previous trade for New Jersey that might get met. If it does, they get Arizona's third-round pick. If they get Arizona's third-round pick, it now goes to Washington. If they do not get that third-round pick, they send their own third-round pick to the Washington Capitals. So basically, that's where the conditional third, iffy third, comes from. Then we have the Montreal Canadiens acquiring defenseman John Merrill from the Detroit Red Wings in exchange for prospect center Hayden Verbeek and a 2021 fifth-round pick. Real minor swap here, just Montreal trying to get a defensive player that they can rely on for some minutes later on in the season. Then we have Toronto, Columbus, and San Jose making a three-team trade here. So Toronto gets left wing Nick Foligno and right wing Stefan Noesen, who's a prospect. Now, Foligno comes from Columbus, and Noesen comes from San Jose. Columbus gets a first-round pick in this year's draft 2021 and a 2022 fourth-round pick, both from Toronto, of course, while San Jose gets a 2021 fourth-round pick from Toronto. So that's the second trade that we've seen Columbus get a fourth-round pick this year. So they're clearly in a rebuild, which is good. They need to rebuild. That's a solid thing. And then you get a fourth-round pick. I don't know what that fourth-round pick is going to be, but, I mean, it's exciting for Columbus. You know, you have two later first-round picks. You can probably bundle them and move up if you wanted to. San Jose, it's a fine trade. You're getting a fourth-round pick for a prospect that probably wasn't going to do much for you anyway. Toronto, Foligno is a good acquisition for them. I do like that move for them. And then Noesen, I mean, it is what it is. I don't know enough about him to really give an opinion on him going to Toronto. But Foligno, I do like that acquisition for Toronto. He should help them out. Then we have the Toronto Maple Leafs once again making a trade, this time getting goaltender David Rittich from Calgary in exchange for a 2022 third-round pick. I like this trade for Toronto. It does kind of raise some red flags for me, though, for, of course, how Frederik Andersen is in his injury. Is he going to be back soon? He's probably not going to be back soon since they just traded a third-round pick for Rittich. Jack Campbell's looked good, but evidently they don't think he's enough for a stretch run, or Anderson's just not going to come back soon at all. So slightly concerning if I'm a Maple Leafs fan. And Calgary getting a third-round pick for Rittich, can't go wrong with that either. Now, this is a real minor trade. Boston gets defenseman Mike Riley from Ottawa for a 2022 third-round pick. Really minor trade here. I mean, Riley's probably maybe a borderline second pairing defenseman, but more likely going to be a third pairing or even a healthy scratch time and time again. Ottawa, third-round pick, can't go wrong. Now, this was the big trade that happened last night into this morning. Boston acquired wing Taylor Hall as well as centerman Curtis Lazar from Buffalo in exchange for a 2022 second-round pick and left wing Anders Bjork. So, Taylor Hall, who the heck knows what's going on with Taylor Hall? Buffalo's retaining 50% of his salary, which is good for Boston, but Taylor Hall has just been so bad this year, it's kind of astonishing. His shooting percentage is something low. I think it's less than 3%. So you can't, he's got to rebound more to standard, so he's probably going to get some goals in Boston. But where is he going to line up in Boston is my question. Is he going to be a third? Is he going to be on the third line? Is he going to be on the second line? They're going to move him to the first line. I don't know what's going to happen. I'm a little concerned if I'm a Bruins fan because this team needed defense, and if you make two trades this deadline, one of them's for an offensively heavy, minimal defense wing, and the other's for like a third pairing defenseman at best. I'm not happy if I'm a Bruins fan. And Lazar's a solid piece, but he's a good throw-in piece for Boston, I will say that. But Taylor Hall, I don't know what's going to happen with him. He plays both wings left and right, so we'll have to see what they can do with him. Maybe he'll get back together. And then the big thing, too, is Taylor Hall basically said he only wants to go to a team if they're willing to sign him to a long-term deal. So if Boston can get him on like a 5-year deal for something like $35 million, it's a good pickup. But the real question is, Boston shouldn't really be doing that, in my opinion, I should say. I don't think they should be signing yet another talented wing. They don't need it. I'm more surprised that they got Taylor Hall than not. Now, Buffalo, getting a second-round pick for the disaster that was Taylor Hall, you can't go wrong with that. You spent $4 million all said and done, or however much they're going to do, $6 million, whatever it's going to end up being to get Taylor Hall and get a second-round pick. So it's an expensive second-round pick, but hey, you probably sold some jerseys for Taylor Hall. Congratulations, Buffalo fans. And Anders Bjork is actually a solid wing. I do like him. He's a good depth piece. Yes, he's inconsistent, but he's a good player. I do like that acquisition for Buffalo. Now, this was another big trade that happened last night. Pittsburgh got center Jeff Carter from the LA Kings in exchange for a conditional pick in 2022, third-round pick, and a 2023 conditional fourth-round pick. So it pains me to see Jeff Carter. I really don't want to see him in a Penguins uniform. It's gonna really hurt to see that. I love Jeff Carter. I'm very surprised that he was willing to waive his no-trade clause to come out east, much less to Pittsburgh. But, I mean, it is what it is. Jeff Carter, good player. I will definitely miss him not being in LA. LA fans are going to miss him, and it's going to really hurt to see him in a Pittsburgh Penguins uniform, that's for sure. Now, those two conditional picks, so Pittsburgh's third-round pick in 2022 will become a second if they make the Stanley Cup Finals and Carter plays in half of the games. And then that 2022-2023 conditional fourth-round pick will become a third-round pick if Jeff Carter plays in 50-plus games for the Penguins in 2022. So, you know, some conditions that are possible to meet, but not exactly the most likely. This trade recently happened. Colorado gets back centerman Carl Soderberg from Chicago in exchange for a pair of prospects in wing Ryder Rolston and center Josh Dickinson. So, Chicago, you're getting a couple guys who probably aren't going to do much of anything for you. Rolston has a chance to make it to the big leagues, you know, to the NHL. I don't think he will. Dickinson, probably more AHL depth. Soderberg goes back to Colorado. Maybe he'll get a ring in Colorado. Maybe he'll be able to retire in Avalanche. We don't know. There's some positive play. I do like Soderberg going back to Chicago. I honestly completely forgot that he left Chicago in the first place. Montreal gets defenseman Erik Gustafsson from the Flyers in exchange for a 2022 7th-round pick. Real minor trade. Gustafsson hasn't done great in Philadelphia. He did good in the first couple games, but then he really fell off a cliff. Philadelphia is just like, you know what? We're going to lose him after the season. We don't really think we're going to do anything this year. Goodbye. And they get a 7th-round pick for him. Can't go wrong with that. Toronto gets defenseman Ben Hutton from Anaheim in exchange for a 2022 5th. It's not a bad trade. I mean, both teams could use it. You get some depth on defense if you're Toronto. Ben Hutton's not going to be a superstar, but he can play good defense. Anaheim gets a 5th-round pick next year's draft. Can't go wrong with that. Young rebuilding team. Can't go wrong with prospects, even if you get one from Sweden or Russia with this pick. Nashville gets defenseman Erik Goodbranson from Ottawa in exchange for a 2023 7th-round pick and defenseman Brandon Fortunato. So Goodbranson hasn't been doing that great in Ottawa. It's not surprising to see him get traded, but it is surprising that he went to Nashville. I don't know why Nashville necessarily wanted him. We'll have to see how he does there. It's not the biggest trade in the world. Now, Ottawa, 2023 7th-round pick, that's basically nothing. And then Brandon Fortunato is just a prospect. So it seems to me like Ottawa said, okay, we don't want this guy anymore. We'll get rid of him. We'll eat half his salary. And Nashville said, you know what? Fine, we'll take a chance on him. We'll give you basically nothing for him. The Islanders would get defenseman Braden Coburn from Ottawa as well in exchange for a 2022 7th-round pick. Ottawa's just getting rid of their defensemen left and right. Coburn, kind of a iffy player. I mean, he has his days, he has his weeks, he has his months, but he's not a great guy. Islanders could use his experience for their potential championship run, and then giving up a 7th-round pick for him can't go wrong. So we have 2 more trades left, and this one sees the Florida Panthers get center Sam Bennett as well as a 2022 6th-round pick from Calgary in exchange for a 2022 2nd-rounder and left wing Emil Heineman. So Sam Bennett, really, I think he was the top 5 pick in 2014, and he just has not panned out for Calgary. So they're finally letting him go. They're finally getting rid of Bennett. Happy to see him go somewhere where he might have a chance to get a ring. We'll have to see. But Bennett's a good player if you give him time, if you have patience. He's very streaky. Can't go wrong with this trade. The 6th-round pick's probably a throw-in. Now, for Calgary, that 2022 2nd-round pick, that's not bad value for Bennett. You know, you probably... I would have expected a 3rd-round pick, so you're getting a 2nd for him. Not bad at all. Heineman's a prospect playing over in Sweden. I don't know if he's signed yet, so... Last trade that we have to discuss is a 3-team trade between Vegas, Chicago, and San Jose. So Vegas will get centerman Matthias Janmark from the Chicago team, as well as defenseman Nick DeSimone from San Jose, and a 2022 5th-round pick. Now, Chicago will get a 2021 2nd-round pick and a 2022 3rd-round pick, both coming from Vegas, while San Jose gets a 2022 5th-round pick from Vegas. So, all in all, you know, it's kind of Janmark going to Vegas. Good for him. He should step in. He should be a solid third-line player. Can't go wrong with that. DeSimone's probably nothing. Fifth-round pick did come from Chicago. Probably not much of anything for either one of them, just some prospects. And the draft picks, San Jose gets a fifth, whatever. And then a second and a third going to Chicago. Can't go wrong with that. So, these were the bigger trades that occurred during the 2021 NHL trade deadline. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Have a good rest of your day.